afternoon, everybody. My name is Jessica Johnson, and for my report, I chose to focus on the movie North Country. North Country is a movie that takes place in 1989 in northern Minnesota, which is not too far from where I live. The main character, Josie Ames, which is played by Charlize Theron, moves back to Minnesota with her children and moves in with her parents. While working to get back on her feet, Josie takes a job as a hairdresser, where she reconnects with an old friend by the name of Glory, who is currently an iron ore mine worker. At the encouragement of Glory, Josie takes a position at the mine which strains her relationship with her father, pushing Josie to move in with her friend Glory and Glory's husband, Kyle. While working at the mines, Josie begins to realize the amount of sexual harassment and humiliation that women at the mines are subjected to. While working at the mines, Josie also becomes a target of the same humiliation by a former friend by the name of Bobby. Upset by this, Josie approaches the supervisor, Arlen. However, he refused to help with the situation, causing even more problems for the women. Bobby then starts to spread rumors about Josie, stating that she was coming on to him, which in turn Bobby's wife lashes out publicly at Josie. Upset by how the situation played out, Josie then goes to the mine's owner, Mr. Pearson, regarding the harassment. Once she arrives to the meeting, she finds out that Mr. Pearson has also invited her supervisor as well as other executives to the meeting. He offers to take her resignation, however, Josie refuses and leaves the meeting. Once Josie returns back to work, she's then assaulted by Bobby, which at this point she finally quits and leaves the mines. She then reaches out to Bill White, who is an attorney, regarding the situation at the mines. He advises her to reach out to other women working at the mines who are experiencing the same thing so that a class action lawsuit could be filed. Unfortunately, due to the fear of the retaliation, the women do not want to help, leaving Josie to file the lawsuit on her own. The lawsuit begins to cause animosity among Josie's parents due to the fact that Alice, Josie's mother, starts to side with her daughter regarding the lawsuit while her father refuses. This causes Alice to leave Hank until he finally stands up for his daughter at a meeting, which then Alice returns to Hank and they reconcile. During the trial, the attorney for the mining company tries to hold Josie accountable based on the fact that her oldest child's father was one of Josie's high school teachers. Josie explains to the court that she was raped by the teacher, which led to the pregnancy. Josie's father sues the teacher in the courtroom, which he then attacks, leading Bill to ask for a recess of the court. The next day in court, Bill cross-examines Bobby, who then admits that he did lie about Josie's rape and he knew about the situation all along. Glory, who is now in a wheelchair due to Lou Gehrig's disease, has a letter written, which is read by Kyle, her husband. The letter states that she stands with Josie, which then leads to other women standing up to support Josie's claim of harassment at the mines. Because of the amount of women in the class action lawsuit, the mining company was then held responsible for the actions of the male employees. The company was then required to have a sexual harassment policy put in place in the workplace, as well as they were required to compensate the women for the harassment they endured while working at the mines. Now, when we're watching the movie, there was a few lessons learned when reviewing the case that Josie had brought to the courts. It's important to recognize that it is important to stand up for what we believe in and what is right. Too often we are intimidated by whatever retaliation may occur, and we stay quiet. We are entitled to be treated fairly, regardless of our gender, race, or sexual preference. The women that worked at the mines prior to Josie's arrival started to stay quiet, which allowed for the harassment to continue. It was not until Josie stood up for what she believed in that something was finally done, even if it meant putting her reputation on the line. The employment law in question in the movie North Country is workplace sexual harassment. According to the U.S. Equal Opportunity Commission, it is unlawful to harass a person because of a person's sex. Harassment can include sexual harassment or unwanted sexual advances, requests for sexual favors, and other verbal or physical harassment of a sexual nature. The women that worked at the mines endured pretty much all of that, considering sexual harassment by the men was very prevalent and quite a bit of harassment occurred. Josie tried many ways to remedy this sexual harassment situation. She did utilize the proper protocol by first going to her supervisor, who was unwilling to assist with the situation. She then went to the corporate and owner of the mines, who was also unwilling to assist with the situation and basically told Josie to quit. Because the company failed her, the final course of action was filing the lawsuit against the company. While she was unable to have the case set up as a class action lawsuit initially, while they were in court, because the women were then willing to stand up behind Josie, it turned into a class action lawsuit against the company. When learning about employment law, sexual harassment is something we are often trained in through. We have to go through the training each year through my current employer, as well as I used to assist the Equal Opportunity Officer while I was in the Army. So there are many things I already knew when it came to sexual harassment. If I had to say one thing I learned, it would be that I was not aware that a single lawsuit could turn into a class action lawsuit while the case was in motion. My learning goals for the term are to learn more about the many different employment laws that are out there. I'm looking towards moving towards the compliance field in healthcare, and I feel that it is important to know the many different laws that are in place to protect employees from things such as harassment or discrimination. Too often we don't realize the many laws that are out there to protect us as employees, and it is important that we are aware of the many different things. Too often, more than not, we are too scared to say something because we don't want to lose our job, or we have a fear of retaliation. I know the employer that I work for currently does have a no retaliation policy so that we do feel safe enough to report any sort of harassment that is occurring, whether it is sexual harassment or employee abuse or any other sort of violation of law. Thank you for your time.